Hi everybody and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion. So I thought I'd speak about housing. That's not something I generally talk about, okay, because when the Labour Party got voted in, one of the things that they fundamentally said that they were going to do, and particularly the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, was they were going to overhaul housing by building more homes because, as they said, and as they like to say on a regular basis, the Conservatives failed on housing. But so did the last Labour government that we had in place. Okay, so they set this ridiculous target of 1.5 million homes that were going to be built in England over the Parliament. So over the next 5 years, 1.5 million homes. Now, when they did their spring statement, unfortunately for them, the OBR rubbished it. Said, you're not going to get anywhere near it. I didn't say it in those words, to be honest, but I'm going to say it how it is because that's how I see it at the end of the day. People want the truth. So, how close are they going to get? Well, even though that they're planning on changing housing rules, as in for planning permission and everything, which is well overdue, okay, they are going to fall in England by about 500,000. Okay, so they're going to get about 60 to 70% towards the target. So, in a nutshell, is it acceptable? And I know there's going to be those of you saying, yeah, but the OBR said it's going to be 1.3 million. But that 1.3 million is across England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland. As in Northern Ireland, that is. Okay, not England. Okay, so 1.5 million downgraded to 1.3 million across the whole of the United Kingdom. But England, 1 million. Okay, so is it acceptable? In my book, no, it's not. You only make a promise if it's realistic, you can actually see it through. If you don't think you're going to be able to hit it, or there's a chance you're not going to hit it, don't make the promise. The UK fundamentally needs housing. There's no argument about that. But the problem that they've got, okay, is in the government. And this is the way I see it. Now, I've worked in home improvements on and off for about 20 years. And one of the things that I've learned from being on the door or speaking to people on the phone or being in people's houses, if you go onto a new build estate, normally the company that's built that estate put rules in place. So for the first few years, you can't do anything. You know, if you want to go and get a conservatory put on the back or an extension or an orangery or something like that, can't do it. You're banned for, I think it's normally about 3, 4, up to about 5 years. It can be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. You cannot do anything to that house. Got to pretty much stay as it is, mainly because so they can consider that they're not losing money. The other fundamental problem is affordability. Most of it's not affordable. It's ridiculous, the price of it. Okay, then you got the problem of the type of housing they're actually building, because they build lots of flats. They'll build lots of 3-bedroom houses, but they don't build any 4-bedroom houses, or what 4 bedrooms they do build is very limited. Councils should be building. They're not. I remember, now I used to know this councillor close by where I live. Now sadly she died, I think it was last year she died. She was a lovely lady, helped me actually get my move. Okay, and she came and spoke to me, and you know, I'd known her for years and everything. And she was a Conservative councillor. Now, obviously, where I live, it used to be Conservative for a long time, the council. And she came to me and said, I've got some great news for you, Kevin. I said, oh, what's that then? I said, you're not going to believe this. The Liberal Democrats they're building some new houses. They're building a new estate. I said, okay, how many houses are they building? And she said 10. And I said to her, are you trying to wind me up? Or something. I said, they're building a new estate of 10 houses. What good is that to anybody? 10 houses. But she had a bit of a sense of humour and she was a lovely lady. And, you know, to be honest, it is a person I do dearly miss because I used to love having a good chat with her. But this is the fundamental problem. There's nowhere near enough houses being built to bring down the prices at the end of the day, because prices need to come down on housing. You know, where I live, now admittedly, I live on the south coast. Now, the place I live, because I live right by the sea, I live right by the Solent. Okay, the average house price around here, you're looking at about £500,000. You know, this isn't London. London's what? Probably about 90 minutes by train from here, because I'd have to get the bus up to Fareham. So forget about the bus and everything. Just from by train, you're looking at 90 minutes. It's not close. Okay, but I live right by the sea. You know, from where if I go and walk down to the beach, I can literally see the Isle of Wight. I can see Cowes. I can see Ryde. If I look to the right, I can see Southampton. If I look to the left, I can see Portsmouth and Gosport. Okay, on a nice clear day. So, but, you know, we've digressed a little bit. So, do they need to do more? Yes. What do they need to do is the question. Now, planning rules is one thing. The other thing is to get property developers and to force them to build, because it doesn't do anybody favours by companies, and I'm not going to put my fingers at, we use Wimpy as an example because it's the first company that's come into my head. If Wimpy go and buy a load of land, is it right that they get to sit on that until the house prices suit them to be able to start building? So they could go and sit on that land for 4 years. Technically, they could do that. And that doesn't do anybody any favours. So in my view, they should be forced, right? If you go and buy that land, you've got, let's say, for instance, 18 months to start building on it. If you don't start building on it within 18 months, the council withdraw that land from you and they take it straight off you, and whatever you've paid for it, you've lost the money. So they do it as a deposit. And then my other argument is, if you've got a company like Wimpy who are going to build a massive estate at the end of the day, they should also be forced into providing certain types of properties to, whether it's housing association or the local council, which they do at the moment. But the fundamental problem is a lot of the properties that they hand over is like 1-bedroom flats. I know where I live, you know, the amount of 1-bedroom flats that they've always got on offer is ridiculous. The amount of 3- and 4-bedroom houses, that's another story, which is another thing the government should be doing, forcing property developers into, one, building tower blocks. I personally believe that was one way to solve the shortage of properties, and the other is to get 3- and 4-bedroom houses built. Go and do that, you resolve a massive problem. In my view, nobody's been able to prove me wrong otherwise. So let me know what you think. You know, do you think that they might be able to actually reach this target, even though the OBR said they're going to miss it by about 500,000? And what do you think they should actually do about actually resolving this housing shortage? What can they actually do? So let us know in the comments down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again a bit later.